Alright, people. I've made a video like this before. Time to make it again. I was wrong. Yeah, so that's a thing that happens because human. I don't know. So I talked about on my last video a little bit about faith and belief and how I needed to clear that up, because the thing is, on the videos that I made about faith and belief in the past, I still get people commenting on them all the time saying, actually I don't agree with this, actually I don't agree with this, and here's why, and here's this, and here's this. And obviously people are subject to their own opinions, that's fine. But also I'm like, you're right. Like, I look back, and I mean, you know, a lot of the big point of this channel is to just document my journey into spiritual and philosophical things, right? So I look back at that part of my journey and I'm like, I was wrong, and there's some stuff I need to clear up. Birds going off in the background. I don't know if you can hear that, but my window's open. So that's a thing. So, I mean, yeah, like I look at these comments and I'm just like, I know, you're right, and needing to clear it up. So here's where I'm going to clear it up. And I'm going to tell you first, in a nutshell, for those of you who haven't seen the other videos on faith and belief, this is essentially, in a nutshell, my thoughts on faith and belief, or what I had said that faith and belief was, were. I can English. I can't. English is my second language. Philosophy and spirituality is my first. I need more coffee. Okay, in a nutshell, here's my thoughts on faith and belief. So faith, right? A action. First and foremost, faith is an action. But what I've said, how I've said it in the past, in a nutshell, is a willingness to be intimate with the unknown. And that's done through an action. You can be any sort of unknown, right? You can see it, you can be a part of it, and you can either choose to act on it, act in it, go for it, figure out what it is, all of that sort of thing. It looks like an action. It's not just a philosophy. It's not just something you say or believe. I'll get to that. But faith is an action. It is that willingness to be intimate being an action with the unknown. That's in a nutshell what I have said that faith is. Now, belief is the connection of thoughts, feelings, and words into actions. It's something lived effortlessly, even unconsciously, if you will. And I think that's a big part of how I have viewed belief in the past. Once you think about it, it may be described better as knowing, better than belief. You know, it's like, I believe this. Do you have to, you know, there's I don't know if it's an argument or a debate, but it's like, I don't have to believe it because I know it. I mean, even in the Old Testament, I've said this before, like in the Bible, in the Old Testament, like there was no word for faith and belief. It was just you know or you don't know. That's kind of how it was. So I guess, you know, knowing and belief could be interchangeable, but I guess that's up for debate as well. But since most of its contents, belief, are abstract and not concrete, it's called belief. So, you know, you could say, instead of I believe this, I know this, but a lot of the material that we use in context with the word belief is subjective. It's abstract. It's not concrete, right? I'm sure people have opinions about that as well, but that's why we call it belief instead of knowing. So there's still a purpose to the word that we use. And, you know, meaning what I just said, it's not abstract and concrete, meaning it's not information being memorized, but it's a lifestyle, right? Belief is not just, I have this information, I have this philosophy, I have this knowledge, I have this theological standpoint. That's, you know, all of this that's been memorized and it's concrete in your head, but if you're not living it out as a lifestyle, then do you really believe it, or do you just have all of this information? I'm looking at my phone, by the way. That's why I keep looking down here. Makes it easier for me. It'd be easier if I could speak English, but I'll have this for now. So it's a lifestyle, still on the topic of belief, of course. It's a lifestyle that was learned and memorized by the unconscious, and so you unconsciously act it out without effort. So it's a belief or lifestyle that you have developed based on information that you were given And it's so much so that you've put it into practice that you don't even have to think about it anymore. I feel like that is, in essence, what belief is, or at least that's how I've tried to put it in the past. And one of my opinions of the past, which I still got it. This mustache is out of control, dude. I'm kind of digging it though. Anyway, so one of my opinions of the past was because, belief, like I just said, is that unconsciously living out a lifestyle from the standpoint, from the philosophies, the theology, whatever theological understandings that it's unconsciously living those out. It's not just understanding that information. And so in the past, I've said that faith often comes before belief, not the other way around, unless you have a sort of spiritual experience, if you will, and then it's possible that belief could take place before faith, and they're kind of interchangeable with each other. It makes sense in my head, so hopefully you're following along with that. But basically, faith being that action, that willingness to be intimate with the unknown, and you take that and you act on it, and you regardless of thoughts, feelings, anything, you're taking that action and going through with it. And through that action, that repetitive action, that you develop a lifestyle that is not just something that you know in your head, but you live it out in your heart. And I would say that that is belief. That's been my opinion of the past. Again, just trying to summarize it in this one short video, hopefully. And in the past with this, I've used a lot of biblical analogies. And my reason for that in this whole faith and belief thing is because, and I made a video about this, about being saved and the problems with the biblical process of salvation. I've used a lot of biblical studies, and word studies and etiology and things like that to talk about faith and belief, and to discover what it is, because in my deconstruction process from Christianity, I was trying to figure out, am I saved? And that's really from Romans 10:9, about if you believe in your heart that Jesus is Lord, confess with your mouth, then you shall be saved, right? Or in reverse order, whatever. But I was like, what does that mean? Am I saved? How do I know if I'm saved? What is belief? What is faith? How does this all work? So that's it for me, myself. I was using the biblical analogies for that reason, but also I think that, if regardless of how you think about the Bible, it's still one of the oldest religious texts that is still very prominent today. So I thought it was a good base, regardless of my subjective reasoning for wanting to study faith and belief. I thought it was a good base just all around to figure out what exactly is faith and belief. So that was the reason why I used biblical analogies in the past. But here's the point I'm getting to about the Bible and about the things of the past. Now, or the ideas that I've had of the past. The Bible, right, okay, so this is where I start to clear things up, if you will. I've done so much studying, right, through philosophy, through theology, through trying to figure out what is faith, the whole deconstruction process, right? What is faith? What is belief? What is sin? What is heaven? What is hell? Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? What does experience look like? All of this kind of stuff. So the contrast, now I'll come back to that, the contrast between the Old Testament and New Testament is very different, right? And even through different sects of Christianity, is it very different? Some there's more books involved, and some the books are taken out. Some there's more verses involved in the New Testament, and some versions they're taken out for reasons of subjective bias through their own interpretation, right? So that person's interpretation of what they feel should be in, or it gets into a whole other topic of discussion. The reason I'm saying that is because in the Old Testament, right, the original Hebrew text, I've already said this before in the video, is that faith and belief were not a thing. It was either knowing or not knowing. So I thought that was interesting when I was studying faith and belief, because I found that it's over 200 times in the New Testament that faith is mentioned. But in the Old Testament, I think it was mentioned once, and it wasn't even a word for faith. It was a word that could have been used for faith. So I was like, why is that, right? So then obviously I'm studying all this stuff about faith and belief and getting all this stuff and making these videos on my thoughts and what I think and all of that kind of stuff. And then, I had which is on this YouTube channel, a discussion with my friend who is a master of divinity. That's what his degree says, at least. And we talked about deconstructing religion and how it worked with Hebrew culture and the theological discussions, even in Paul's day when he was writing the New Testament. It was welcomed that you would have theological debate, healthy theological debate, and you would share your subjective opinions about what you thought this was. And it wasn't wrong, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a debate like we need to figure out what is right, but it was actually a debate like, here's my thoughts, here's your thoughts. Now let's figure out, if there is a commonality in this that we could call the truth, being objective or subjective truth. I don't, whatever. It's not whatever, it's just a different discussion. So Paul, right, was trying through philosophy, and yes, Paul used a lot of philosophy. You can look this up. I was debating whether or not doing a whole bunch of research and including it in this video, but I've read it a number of times. I've had a number of friends, very smart theological friends, including Matt, that I had the conversation with, tell me this, and I've looked it up myself. I just didn't. Maybe I'll do a video on it, but for now, you can look it up yourself. But Paul used philosophy, and there's even a part in the New Testament where it looks as if he quoted Aristotle. He probably did quote Aristotle. So I'm saying this because even Paul was very subjective in his philosophical take of what Jesus in the Old Testament was saying. So even to him, it was so subjective, even faith and belief. And that was his interpretation of it. Now, there's going to be a whole bunch of people, I can already see it, I can already feel it in my bones, saying, no, this is the written word of God, and what he said, and that's fine. You say what you want to say in the comments, totally fine. But Paul was trying to explain this process, right? And I think that's what I was trying to explain, is the process that Paul kind of confusingly put, just because there's obviously that not a mistranslation, but going from Greek and Hebrew into English, obviously things will get mistranslated because the languages are just vastly different, right? So I was trying to discover Paul's process and what he was talking about philosophically on how we get to that, in my opinion, right? This is all my opinion, my subjective opinion, on how we get from that process from faith into belief and how they interchange each other. So I think what I was trying to do is I was looking at Paul's process of thought and trying to figure it out and call that objective philosophical truth, which I don't even know if that's a thing, objective philosophical truth. Another video discussion, right? We're just coming up with all sorts of video ideas in this. It's great. So it's all Paul's interpretation of the Old Testament, which is a healthy thing, and it's subjective. And everything that everybody was saying, that actually I think belief is this, and I think faith is this. You're allowed to have your opinion of it. And I think a lot of you were right in what you said, and I also think that I was misinterpreted as well in what I was trying to say. So all of that to say, actually, from what I have said about faith and belief, even in the past videos, I still stand by 90%, maybe 95, maybe 85. We'll see, around 90%. I still stand by that of what I said, my interpretation, wanting to highlight that, my subjective interpretation of what faith and belief, there we go, is to me. I still stand by it because I have been living it out in my own life, and I see the benefit of that in my own life. And I think that's a healthy thing to have my interpretation of that. Now, everybody else can have their own interpretation. Some people, what I call belief, they would call faith. And some people, what they call faith, I would call belief, or vice versa, whatever, right? We can put different names to different words, and at the end of the day, we kind of mean the same thing. But to me, in my head, what I've said in the past, mostly 90% of it makes sense. And then It's just how it makes sense to me, and it's how I've applied it to my own life. And I feel like I've even developed some beliefs based on my understanding of faith and how I've gone about it and how I practice it, right? So, all that to say, it's subjective, and my opinion is subjective. And where I was wrong is I was trying to make it objective, and I was trying to make it, here's the thing that everybody can follow. Now, I mean, if you can follow my train of thought, if you can follow what I've said, then great. If it doesn't resonate with you, then chuck it. I mean, I've kind of always said that in my videos. I'm like, if this is something that you flow with, that you get, great. If not, awesome. Like, just chuck it. Would love to know your thoughts in the comments, and we can have some cool discussion. But I'm no longer trying to figure out like this objectivity to faith and belief, because even in the Bible, even Paul, it was a philosophy. It was his interpretation. It was how he tried to explain something that was kind of unexplainable. And that's all that I've been trying to do as well. So it's subjective, and I was wrong in trying to make it objective. But if it helped you, then fantastic. Then, watch the videos again. But if it didn't, then that's fine. That's totally fine. A lot of things in the Bible, specifically in Christianity, are like this. They are more subjective than objective, and where we get into trouble theologically is that we try to make something objective when it is subjective, and people are allowed to have their own interpretation. That happens in Christianity all the time, and I was still trying to do that even after leaving the church, after leaving Christianity. So yeah, I was wrong, but also right for myself. So maybe that clears a whole lot of stuff up, and maybe this will start a whole lot more discussion in the comments, which I'm very much looking forward to. So yeah, I think that about covers it. So the camera died, and so now I'm using my iPhone. It's a great little camera, but it dies fairly fast, which kind of sucks. But anyway, what I was going to say is let me know what your thoughts down in the comment. What you think, if you follow my train of thought with the whole faith and belief thing. If you follow that you think it is completely subjective, or if you think that it is a concrete thing. Let me know. Let's talk about it. Comment, like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. And that's it for this one. And I will see you misfits in the next one. I don't know how I'm going to do the peace thing with this, but we'll give it a shot. So, peace.